It's December 21st, 2018. And in that moment, it clicked. I have a direction for you. The sickness that we're facing on a global scale is internal sickness. It's soul sickness. The knowledge, that I've picked up along the way is that, we're all sort of here to heal each other. Back in 2016, I went through an experience where my sister, Tracy, almost died. She struggles with alcoholism, and back in 2016, her liver failed, like organ failure. And she had all these intense infections. She had spinal meningitis, she had pneumonia, and she was in a coma for a month. When she came out of the coma, she was basically paralyzed from the neck down from the spinal meningitis. And while all that was happening, her liver was completely kaput.
Hi, honey.
Hey, Mom.
What you doing?
Just leaving. Did you get those pictures I sent?
I'm getting ready to go check them out now.
Doesn't she look good?
Yeah. Aw.
Look at how she's sitting.
I know. That's awesome. Thank you, honey.
Well, she came out of her chair easier than she's done for anyone. She walked. She stood up by herself. I said, I'm going to take my hands off you, and you're just going to stand. I mean, once she overcomes that fear, it's going to happen immediately.
I got an osteopath, and this particular osteopath specialized in visceral manipulation, which is the manipulation of organs. And this guy had a particular gift, and I brought him, we snuck him into my sister's suite in the ICU, and he basically moved her organ around and got her liver moving again. So long story short, we healed her. The longer we're disempowered, the more willing we are to play along with this false narrative, with this corrupt medical industrial complex that is designed to keep us ill. When we're no longer under the weight of trauma and dis-ease, we're then free to address injustice. If we acquiesce to the way things are and continue to let our most vulnerable members of society die in an unjust way to serve the profits of very few people, we as a nation are going to suffer because of that. And I believe that we are suffering today because of that. We've sat idly by, and we've allowed this system of medicine to perpetuate and proliferate, and now we're all sick. This isn't a topic for debate. To have a debate about this causes confusion where there is no confusion. To suggest that this is debate worthy is to create confusion for confusion's sake, so that we're so busy debating over whether it's right or wrong that nothing gets done about it. And this is how our freedom gets stolen right out from underneath our noses.
Yeah. Talking to my mirror like I love you so much. Curving on my critics like I heard you, so what? You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. Tally all the fucks I ever gave on my head. Lately I've been living like I can't take a loss. They ain't wanna help me, that's what made me a boss. You can't kill my confidence, I think I'm the man. We don't give a fuck, that's what they don't understand.
The holidays are traditionally a very material time, and that materialism is a distraction, okay? It's really all systems go time. There's a lot of lane changing going on. There are a lot of people having personal awakenings, unplugging from the matrix right now. Now is actually, historically, astrologically, and maybe you can feel it too, now is the most activated time we've experienced in our lifetimes for sure, and maybe the most activated time in known history. Thomas did a radio show on CBS and ABC back in the 30s and 40s, and he did all those World War II sort of movie advertisements, buy war bonds. So essentially now we're living in the post-objectivity era of media. The business model for the post-objectivity media today is to create bias, agitate, scare, and addict. I've found that an interesting development that has unfolded sort of quietly, and I think it's a healthy development that's been unfolding quietly among the men and women of this country anyway, and I could even go so far as to say maybe the men and women of the world, is that what was gaining traction in the narrative from around 2014 up until 2019 so was this whole notion of toxic masculinity, right? This whole notion that all the craziness and weirdness going on in the world was somehow men's fault. One of the first things I would do if I was trying to destabilize a country would be to sort of pit men and women against one another, because men and women sort of have that ability to create alchemy when they work together. What was being seen as toxic masculinity, I think now has been sort of shown to be just sort of toxicity. We're in a 5-dimensional world now, so it's going to enforce the laws of the 5th dimension, not the 3rd dimension. Okay? 5th dimension, laws of 5th dimension, compassion, unity, the opposite of division, right? Separation in Capricorn, the greatest hoax ever pulled on all of us. There is no separation. That is the law, however, in Capricorn. You take unity and you make it law in Aquarius, and that which makes sense is allowed to make sense. Now truth becomes the law. Now transparency becomes the law. And so this is what's happening. So people who make sense will no longer be pariahs. People who make sense will actually have whatever sense it is they're trying to make manifest in reality. People who make sense will sort of have the wind at their backs now, where it was sort of in their faces for the last 3 years. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the new setup. I hope you like it. It's better than a blue wall and a vinyl white curtain, which is where I started. Look at the false programs that are out there, but also look at the false programming that's going on within us and have understanding for where that false programming came from. It's echoed in the messaging, in the mass communications pretty much everywhere. You can't turn on a television or radio or even pump gas anymore without getting bombarded with this messaging. And this messaging is really set up to disempower people. What a victim wants more than anything is to be taken care of. So we're at a very critical point when those who want to be free and those who have reversed their trauma and those who aren't afraid to do the work want to go forward and be free and do the work. And then there are those who are still wallowing in unresolved trauma. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I am someone who has borne the weight of more trauma than most. I just know what it takes to reverse it. And today I want to talk about, if you haven't noticed, we're all getting played. Just some stuff I've been seeing has just sort of gotten to me. Like the whole Joe Biden falling up the steps thing on his way to Air Force One. And, when I saw that, I was just sort of like, oh, he did make a complete jerk of himself. Now, that's obvious. Don't get hung up on the obvious, okay? Hey, folks. Welcome back to another riveting episode of Personal Growth. But seriously, we trudge the road to happy destiny, don't we? Ultimately, we trudge the road to happy destiny, but we put in the work and it pays off. So tonight I want to talk about God and how, to many, God is sort of the G word. A lot of us are just kind of waiting for some of us. If you pick up my drift, don't let your light get put under a basket. Like, no one puts a lamp under a basket. Like, do you know what I mean? Okay. Do what you've got to do. Find your way back to God. It's important. We need you. Generation X, baby boomers, also known as our current ruling class. You can't fix a broken situation from a disposition of brokenness. Does that make sense? So, of course, the current ruling class is taking us in a very dark direction because they came from a very dark place and didn't
fix themselves. I pray for baby boomers because, they were never given an out. If you're a baby boomer, you can't show weakness. If you're a baby boomer, you have to be June and Ward Cleaver on the outside, even if you're in silent desperation on the inside. When did it become not okay to have a different opinion in America or a belief other than the mainstream narrative? Since when is it not okay to believe in God in America? Since when is it not okay to believe in the body's natural immune system? Since when is it not okay to believe what's written in our Constitution is doctrine? Why has a difference of opinion been labeled as dissent in America? If you're labeled as a dissenter, you might as well be a domestic terrorist nowadays. It's not time to fear. It's not time to be afraid. It's not time to feel limited. This is a very limitless time. Each one of us is sort of born into living in our own skin. No one knows what it's like to be you. No one knows what it's like to be me. That's what an individual, unique point of view is all about. And that's where genius comes from. Do you think Gandhi was popular in grade school? Gandhi was not popular, I'm sure. The way Gandhi thought, the way Gandhi saw the world, one person. He didn't even have a budget, you know what I mean? He just walked around and said what he thought, and he was so right that he changed the world. Same with Jesus. Jesus was not popular. Jesus did not say things that people wanted to be hearing at the time. Jesus was our Savior, and his opinion was so unpopular, they killed him. So this trend, right, of killing the messenger is not new. We need to stay open to each other. We need to grow from each other's ideas. We need to say, I didn't know that. Or, that's a good idea. I think I might try it. Or, I don't think I could have done that if it were me. It's time to accept the fact that you are a divine soul inhabiting a human body that has infinite lifetimes of information to share with the world. We want to hear it, and we need it now more than ever. So, that's all I've got for now. Thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you next time.